A short and quick activation. 13 QSOs at 30 and 20 meters CW. After a long walk of about 2 hours, I was at the top. I made 26 QSOs in 25 minutes at 20 meters. A nice pile-up. There was a strong wind, as you can see from the antenna mast. Fortunately, it was nice and dry and occasionally even some sun. So I could easily get rid of the pile-up. After a walk of about an hour, I was at the top. I made 32 QSOs in 25 minutes at 20 meters. A nice pile-up. There was a strong wind, as you can see from the antenna mast. Fortunately, it was nice and dry and occasionally even some sun. After a walk of about an hour, I was at the top. I made 26 QSOs at 20, 30 and even 1 QSO at 10 meters in 20 minutes. There was also a strong wind here, as you can see from the antenna mast. Fortunately, it was nice and dry and the temperature was about 7 degrees Celsius. Occasionally some sun behind the dark clouds. After a walk of about 3/4 of an hour, I was at the top. Had some rain on the way. I only made 15 QSOs in 13 minutes at 20 meters. There was little supply. Despite the fact that I was behind the rock, it was still very cold, but luckily it was dry at the top. After a short walk of about half an hour, I was at the top. I only made 11 QSOs in 20 minutes at 20 and 40 meters. There was really very little on offer here. Probably because I was sitting among the wet trees. After a walk of more than an hour, I arrived at the top. I made 25 QSOs in 20 minutes at 20 and 40 meters. I got rid of the pile-up from my chair. Unfortunately, I lost my drone here. It had been carried away with the wind. After more than an hour of searching, I unfortunately didn't find it again. On the way back, I got a big hailstorm on me. With a strong wind. After a walk of more than an hour and a half, I arrived at the top. In the meantime, it had started to rain very hard. When I had built everything up, it came pouring down from the sky. And with that strong wind, it really wasn't that much fun anymore. So I only made 6 QSOs and quickly walked down. After a walk of more than 2 hours, I arrived at the top. This was a very nice walk. With very nice views and well-trodden paths. You could already see the summit in the distance. Unfortunately, the real summit after the summit you see at first. I only made 12 QSOs in 20 minutes. Again comfortable in my seat. Very little supply, or the conditions were bad. Then I walked back to the car. A satisfied day after this activation in the sun. I'm going to activate the Slievereagh for the 7th time. This time I'm taking a different route. After about 3/4 of an hour I arrived at the top. There was a strong wind at the top. I quickly built everything up and made 19 QSOs at 20 meters in just 10 minutes. Then I walked back to the car. A special and memorable activation. After a very short walk of half an hour I was on top of this 2-pointer. Here a nice location and took the time. In 20 minutes I had 23 QSOs in the log. At 20 meters it didn't go so well, so I also tried 30 meters. Which was a success, despite the short and tenor of only 6 meters. After another short walk of half an hour I arrived at the top. Again nice and relaxed from my chair I made 22 QSOs in 20 minutes. Most QSOs at 30 metres and a handful at 20 metres. Another satisfying day with these 2 punts. Today a combined activation with EI6FR, Declan and EI3ISB, John. After an hour's walk we reached the top. The ground was very soggy. And sometimes you sank into the ground up to your ankles. When we arrived at the top, it started to rain again and it was cold and windy. After a walk of half an hour we were at the top. There was a bronze memorial chair for a deceased brother. I made a total of 24 QSOs at 20 and 30 metres in about 20 minutes. At the top it was also very windy and cold, but fortunately nice and dry. After a walk of about an hour I reached the top. A beautiful location and with little wind and a nice sun, it was doable. After 30 QSOs in half an hour I went back down. A short and easy walk of about 3/4 of an hour to the top. At the top there was almost no wind and I was able to activate this SOTA in the sun. As a result, it was also a longer sitting of about half an hour. After 30 QSOs, I moved on to the next one. This was a tough climb of an hour. Lots of rocks and sometimes very steep. After an hour I had arrived at the top. And I started with this activation, nice in the sun. A very nice view. After a pile-up and 36 QSOs in 30 minutes, I hiked down. A relatively short walk with a steep last part. Again a very pleasant location in the sun and a bit out of the wind. Lots of chasers and in just 25 minutes 30 QSOs in the log. Today 2 relatively easy summits. After an hour I was on top of this first SOTA. A 4-pointer with a not so nice view. Not that much supply, but after 24 QSOs in half an hour there was no more supply. And I walked down. This was the 20th and also the last SOTA of this tour. A relatively easy SOTA, which I reached after 3/4 of an hour. Lovely in the sun, 34 QSOs made in just over 3/4 of an hour. Took all the time on this last SOTA. After this activation, I went back to my accommodation.